turn a center stable to a Bible tent. It's a hell of a place to be heaven sent. It's Gainesville bound for me.
The next venue that we unlocked was the Shamrock. It was fall of 2003, and we were starting to play more regularly. We needed more bands to join our bills and decided to check out a brand new act who would be playing a few songs at the Shamrock Open Mic Night. As we walked up University Avenue, we could smell it before we could see it. Old beer, the smokers on the porch, and the faint odor of urine emanating from the back corner of the room were all hallmarks of this wonderful little dive. Smack in the middle of a dilapidated strip of storefronts that featured various smoke shops and come-and-go restaurants, it was literally a lone beacon of nightlife, a Guinness-soaked island amidst a sea of nothing worthwhile. Plus, for the students or locals who lived nearby, they could safely stumble home without getting behind the wheel of a car. It was founded by a family of Irish immigrants who moved to town in the 90s because some magazine rated Gainesville the best place in America to live. So as to not be predictable, the family opened an Irish pub and named it the Shamrock, as if they were in the Witness Protection Program. They opened in 2000 and started doing music about a year in. Back in the old days, you would enter through the front porch, which was surprisingly cozy and featured ample seating. It was a great place to escape the din of whatever band was playing while remaining in the vibe of the joint. You were likely to encounter the doorman, Kieran, the owner's son, as you paid your $5 cover, all of which always went to the band. 70 people at the Shamrock get you paid better than Sidebar or Market Street with twice that much. You could bring out-of-town bands in and not hurt your bottom line at all. The porch regularly hosted numerous homeless characters and their dogs, such as Bicycle Johnny. Johnny was a man who would tell you unsolicited stories about living in the woods and having frat guys shoot off flash grenades around his tent. One time, I made plans to meet him at the Shamrock to give him a new backpack and some old clothes, which he needed. Obviously, he didn't show. Once you entered the pub, the stage venue side was to your right, and the bar area to your left. This format was and is my ideal venue. One side was strictly bar, where you could sit with a beer and more or less avoid the music in the room next door, while the stage side was almost fully enclosed with just 2 openings to the bar side. It could get dark and moody stage side while remaining bright and vibrant bar side. The stage room was a cinder block rectangle painted cheap green. Before you played, you'd have to move all the tables and chairs from the restaurant to the back. The stage backed up to the sidewalk on University Avenue with full floor-to-ceiling windows behind the stage left side. You could look right out onto the porch while you played, and people walking by could see what was going on. On our first night, the band we came to see took the stage and was deemed worthy enough of being added to our bill. But being in a new bar for the first time, we stuck around for a little. As the open mic lineup rotated through the signups, a skinny, emo-looking kid took the stage. He didn't have an instrument or microphone. What he did have was a small black box with a large circular knob on a guitar strap, worn like a purse. He donned dark sunglasses and began to generate the most delightfully awful, ear-splitting noise by turning the knob. He moved as if in slow motion and made various slightly seductive gestures toward the crowd as he pressed a button on something resembling an old flashbulb trigger. It was insane, it was horrible, it was beautiful, and it was perfect. He called himself Twisted Sonic Bizarreness. We immediately asked him to play with us. He will return to this story later on. After about 30 minutes, we left with the takeaway feeling that the Shamrock was dirty and dingy, but something about the place felt right. As I began to compile this project, I knew the Shamrock was a piece of the puzzle, but it wasn't until I started talking to local musicians that I realized it was an essential piece of everyone's puzzle. The Shamrock quickly became known for its open mic night, which was frequently jam-packed with participants. Everyone who has played music knows the open mic night crowd and vibe. It's not usually a good look, but somehow, the Shamrock transcended that distinction and was literally the first place that many local musicians took to a stage. Band members met for the first time, and long-standing alliances were formed as everyone was just happy to be there together. At some point, we met the owner, Paul. I remember easily developing a rapport with him. After securing our booking, he asked us to bring some flyers by a certain number of days before the show, which I did. He seemed to appreciate the gesture more as me listening to what he said more than the promotional angle. For us, our first few Shamrock shows were modest affairs. After all, it was where bands played their first show, or where they booked when everyone else was full, or where they needed to throw something together quickly and didn't have the ability to properly promote it. It was a dive bar, and gigs were dive bar gigs. But after a few shows, we realized the true beauty of a Shamrock show. Anything goes. You could do the stupidest things and it didn't matter. Thanksgiving pageant, April Fool's shows, hanging strobe lights from the ceiling, we did them all there. To avoid the inevitable homeless crowd, the porch entry was closed down and the old stage door became the front door. This resulted in the stage being moved to a tiny spot in the back corner. It ruined it. It was never the same again. Eventually, they sold out to Mother's Pub and moved downtown to their second location, Brophy's, which quickly went out of business.